Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're navigating slightly different waters. Instead of our usual kind of exploration, we're going to share some stories, real accounts. These are from people whose lives were, well, deeply affected by unwanted attention, obsession, that sort of thing. We're looking at the nature of stalking, really, the violation of space, the fear. It's intense. Stories of ordinary people, facing these really terrifying situations. It's a reminder that horror isn't always fiction.
Exactly. And while these stories are definitely unsettling, they do offer insights into the patterns, and also the resilience of the people who go through it. Will present them impartially, aiming to convey the experiences as shared, exploring the impact with you.
Okay, let's start with one that shows how obsession can, well, take root where you least expect it. A summer job. Our first narrator was 18, working as an office assistant for a photographer, self-employed. This photographer, known to the family from church, was, let's say, eccentric, very religious, talked about encountering demons, even took part in exorcisms. The narrator, being atheist, didn't really buy into it, but it set a unique kind of atmosphere. Things changed about a year in. The photographer's son, Nate, moved back home. Nate was in his mid-30s, described as being on the autism spectrum. His mother claimed it was a vaccine injury. At first, interactions seemed okay. Harmless even. They both liked movies, talked about that. That was it.
And that's often how it starts, right? These interactions feel maybe just socially awkward, but not, threatening. It's easy to miss the signs because people with these tendencies, they often test boundaries subtly at first. It's not just the awkwardness, it's the lack of a firm pushback that they read as, well, an open door.
That's a really good point. Because the first big red flag wasn't even from Nate directly. It was through her mom. Her mother worked as the church secretary. Nate approached her one day, started just discussion about the narrator, how great she was, how he loved their talks, and then boom, out of nowhere he lays out his plans for her. Movies, church, marriage. He hadn't discussed any of this with the narrator herself. Zero. Her mom was really uncomfortable, told her daughter, be careful, don't lead him on. Then it got creepier. The narrator overheard Nate talking to his mother. They were discussing his Navy days, dangers of Islam. And Nate says, completely seriously, if I had my way, I'd just shoot and kill any Muslim I met. Problem solved. And the mother, she just laughed it off. The narrator said that specific moment, that detail, just deeply unsettled her.
Yeah, you see, when you have that kind of background of unconventional beliefs, maybe demons, exorcisms taken literal, it can create a really potent mix for someone like Nate. A simple thing like a ring or a casual chat, it can get twisted, reframed as, a spiritual threat or a sign, and that can justify the obsessive behavior in their own mind. It's not stalking, it's a mission or a rescue. It completely warps their sense of what's appropriate, what's real.
That makes a scary amount of sense. So after that, the narrator tried to pull back, acknowledged him less, kept conversations short, always had work to do, Eventually Nate moved out. A couple years later, the photographer closed her business. The narrator thought, okay, finally, it's over. Problem solved. But then the online stuff started, unexpectedly. One night, the old boss messages her on Facebook about a ring the narrator was wearing. Black with a white star. The boss accuses her, says it's a pentagram, claims she's promoting Satan. Narrator tries to explain, but nope, boss wasn't having it. Next morning, messages from Nate, demanding she come to his church, calling her ring disgusting, warning her about possession. The messages got angrier, more demanding. She realized it was pointless, blocked them both, Nate and his mom. But blocking them, that seemed to just make things worse. It moved offline. Physical stalking began. Nate started showing up at her workplace. He'd search the store, find her, corner her, wouldn't stop talking. Managers eventually caught on, started running interference.
That shift from digital to physical, it's often triggered by exactly that, being blocked. When they lose that online access, that sense of control, it feels like a direct rejection, cuts off their perceived connection, so they escalate. It becomes about reasserting presence, power, basically saying, you can't ignore me.
It definitely got worse. She got a second job, different town. Within a week, Nate showed up there too. She told her new managers immediately. They were great, actually. Let her hide in back room, locked door, whenever he came in. Yeah. One time while she was hiding, they heard him shouting towards the back, I know you remember me. That did it. The new managers banned him from the store right then. Okay, fast forward a few years. Things have been quiet. She'd sort of let her guard down. Then one day, new workplace again. He reappears. Spots her walking past an aisle he's in. She bolts for the broke room. But he starts showing up regularly again. Then came the absolute worst moment. She was working the customer service desk one night. Nate walks up. Before she can signal anyone, he says, how's your little girl doing? She's 3 now, right? She's just horrified. How could he know? She'd blocked them everywhere. New address, Never told anyone connected to them she was married, had a kid. Then he asks, how's your husband doing? He knew. Private details he had no business knowing. As she's leaving, just feeling sick, he calls out after her. I'll see you again. We'll talk a lot and do something together. We will. This has been going on for 10 years. 10 years. Her hope now is just, if he shows up again, she's finally calling the police. What a nightmare. So that first story, it really highlights obsession from, like, misguided fixation, distorted beliefs. This next one feels different. It's about that fear creeping into your childhood home from a neighbor. This narrator's story starts when she was young. Focuses on this reclusive neighbor, Mike. Mike lived alone, kept to himself. They hardly ever saw him. Just walking his dog, taking out trash, that's it. He was sort of an unknown in a community where most people knew each other. Lights off most of the time, not really around. Then, one evening, unexpectedly, Mike knocks on their door. Her dad, being friendly, invites him in for a beer. The narrator, she's only 10, sitting there, just found him super creepy. Got a bad vibe. Mike awkwardly asks her mom about her home remodeling business. He'd only know that from the logo on her car. Stayed about an hour. After he left, her parents looked at each other like, that was weird. He had a weird vibe.
Yeah, and it's interesting how the seemingly small things, maybe just awkward moments, in hindsight, they take on such a sinister meaning once the pattern starts. That creepy feeling the 10-year-old had, that gut instinct, it's often spot on. An early warning we tend to dismiss.
Totally. And the pattern did start. Subtle at first, but persistent. Her mom started seeing Mike everywhere. Grocery store, Target, gas station, bank, everywhere. This was a huge change from him being a recluse. It wasn't just coincidence, it felt deliberate. Then it got more obvious. His red Jeep started following her mom, right from their driveway. It even showed up in her work parking lot. There was no denying it. He was actively following her. Then he started coming onto their porch when her mom was out there, relaxing or reading. Just engage her in these really uncomfortable, socially awkward conversations. The kind that make your skin crawl. This happened like twice a week. Her mom was getting really sketched out. The breaking point for her mom was at the gym one day. Mike shows up maybe 45 minutes into her workout, gets on a machine right behind her. She could just feel him staring the whole time. Then he cuts his own workout short just to follow her home. She even took a weird route, a longer way just to test it. And yep, he followed. She was done. But the really terrifying part, it happened to the narrator, the 10-year-old. Late one night, she's awake, goes to the kitchen for water. Had to walk through the dining room. Big bay window there, faces the street, faces Mike's house. She glances out and sees Mike sitting on their front porch in one of their chairs, just staring into their house through the window. They locked eyes, realized they saw each other simultaneously. His eyes went wide. He jumped up, sprinted back across the street to his house. She was so scared she never told her parents, feared they wouldn't believe her or her dad would confront him and make it worse. The family moved away about 2 years later. Never saw Mike again. Imagine carrying that memory. Okay, our third story. This one involves the first job. Narrator 16. Local restaurant. Kind of a dive. Known for, let's say, lax hiring, especially at back of house. Staff often had troubled histories. Enter Nick, new hire.
Guy was huge, 6'7", muscular, mid-30s, history of drug abuse, underground MMA fighting. Narrator felt wary right away. You can understand why. The harassment started subtly. Menacingly, though. Long stares whenever she walked past. Then he started following her. Into back rooms, storage closets, just stand there, watching her. With this weird smirk. Never saying anything. This went on for about a month. Made her increasingly uncomfortable.
And this is just a textbook example, isn't it? How environments with zero oversight, no real accountability, they become breeding grounds for this stuff, especially for young people. First jobs, vulnerable. It's so hard to get help when management is maybe part of the problem or just doesn't care. Predators thrive in that vacuum.
Yeah, help was definitely scarce here. Nick's behavior escalated. He'd come up behind her when she was alone, whisper really vulgar things in her ear, then laugh when she told him to stop. She did tell a manager, the one who hired her. He took it seriously, but he wasn't Nick's direct boss. The manager who was Nick's boss. He harassed her too, gave her this gross nickname about her body. She felt trapped, needed the job, the money. What could she do? Nick's obsession grew. Her guy friends at work told her he was always asking about her, personal stuff. What school she went to, did she have a boyfriend, where exactly did she live? He knew she lived close by. Then the really chilling thing, she kept a bag of clothes at work. Went through it one day, the only thing missing was a bra. She just knew. Had to be Nick.
That kind of act, stealing personal items, especially clothing, it's deeply symbolic, isn't it? It's not just theft. It's about possession, dominance, violating intimacy without physical contact. It's a way of saying, I have access to you, your private things, your space. It's a form of ownership in their mind. Really disturbing.
Absolutely. The final straw physically was when he groped her. She was reaching for something high up. She just broke down crying, Ran to her best friend there, Kai. Kai agreed. Enough is enough. Kai and some other guys who looked out for her confronted Nick. Told him, leave her alone. After that, she refused to go into the back alone. Always need Kai or another male coworker with her. There was another incident, too, separate, that showed how dangerous Nick could be. Weeks before she quit, closing shift. Nick just lost it at their manager. The manager had been giving him cash, probably for drugs, right? Finally said she had to stop. Nick went ballistic, screaming, towering over her, throwing things, calling her vile names. Narrator walked out from the next room. Right as Nick stormed out of the office, he glared at her, pure hate, threatened her. Don't tell anyone what you saw. Showed his truly unpredictable and violent side. So eventually, she got her license, quit that place, got a new job as a barista. Different town. Relief. Thought she'd left him behind. But no. One night, dark, raining, December, walking into her new job, sees a figure in the dim parking lot. It's Nick, just standing there, facing her. That same disgusting smirk. She knew his license was revoked. Him being there, especially kind of isolated, deeply unsettling. She tries to hurry past him. He says it. I finally found you again. She sprinted inside. Bathroom, anxiety attack. Since then, he comes into her work sometimes, sporadically. Her new manager is amazing, though. Knows the history. Sends her to the back whenever Nick shows up. Helps her avoid him. The narrator ends by saying she learned to defend herself. No one should tolerate that. Good for her. Okay, story number 4. This one's different again. Starts in middle school. About friendship, obsession, the dark side. This involves Amy. She developed this extreme liking for a mutual friend, Matt. But it wasn't just a crush. It was aggressively possessive. Amy would literally attack anyone who got close to Matt. Now, the narrator, she was starting to realize she was lesbian. No romantic interest in Matt whatsoever. Didn't matter to Amy. If the narrator was anywhere near Matt, she got these intense stares, glaring. Amy saw any interaction as a threat, total threat, then moved online. Digital harassment. Narrator starts getting horrible, inappropriate emails to her school account. He had to make a new one. Then it escalated. Anonymous threats, disturbing messages on Facebook, not just insults. One message graphically described brutally killing my pets, gave details on how to get into my backyard. Chilling.
And it's so important to understand online harassment. It feels just as real, just as terrifying, especially when it targets things you love, like pets or your home's safety. It invades your sense of security in a profound way. Knowing private details makes the threat feel immediate, you know?
Totally. And Matt was getting stuff too. Started as love poems, songs. Then escalated to photos of self-harm. Amy sending them. They were both just kids, teenagers. Too scared to tell their parents, thought they'd get in trouble. So they deleted their Facebook accounts. And for a while, Amy kind of disappeared, didn't see her around, but the cry broke. One day, narrator witnesses Matt confronting Amy publicly, furious, screaming at her, "Stop harassing me and my friends, you're literally insane." Amy's reaction, this really unsettling, creepy grin, like a forced smile. Her response was just, "We haven't talked in so long, I missed you." Completely detached from reality. Right after that, Amy's face changes. Full glare at the narrator, shouts something about her car, narrator just sprints away, freaked out what was going on. The absolute horror came the next morning. The narrator's cat, missing from her bed, which never happened. Food untouched. She felt sick, something was wrong. Later that day, Matt finds her, looks pale, completely out of it. He tells her what he found in his backyard. On his iPod Touch, a picture, a cut-off cat's tail, a bloody note, the cat's collar. The note talked about Matt cheating, said this was revenge. Matt confirmed it. Amy was behind all of it. The online stuff, this horrific act, all fueled by this delusion that she was his girlfriend. Twisted revenge against the narrator. Amy eventually moved out of state, thank God. But even though the physical contact stopped, Matt kept getting anonymous love letters for another year. Left a deep scar. You can imagine the cruelty is just staggering. All right, our final story. This one it's long and deeply disturbing. Years of manipulation, abuse, harassment. Started in middle school, still going on. It's about the narrator's younger sister, Diana, and a guy named Elliot, who was a freshman in high school when Diana became obsessed with him. Elliot deliberately kept Diana on the hook, played games with her. This missed Diana badly. Mentally, emotionally led to self-harm, sneaking out, aggression towards family. She was young, dealing with hormones. What they later realized was manic depression, desperate for validation.
And that kind of manipulation, especially during those formative years, it's incredibly destructive. Keeping someone on the hook systematically erodes their self-worth, their judgment. It traps them in this cycle of seeking approval from the very person harming them. It's a form of coercive control, dismantling their reality piece by piece.
The family hated Elliot, saw what he was doing to Diana, but the mother, hoping to fix things once they were officially dating, actually encouraged it. She admits now that just enabled him, made it worse.
That dynamic where a parent enables or rationalizes abuse, even with good intentions, it's incredibly damaging. It's like enmeshment. The parent's view overrides the clear danger signs. It normalizes the abuse within the family, making it even harder for the victim to see it or get out.
Elliot's possessiveness escalated fast. Diana was naturally pretty, bubbly, lots of guy friends. Elliot got a crappy attitude about them. Made it so difficult that Diana just stopped hanging out with them to avoid fights. Lost most of her male friends. Then he started on her female friends. Called them sluts, whores. Told Diana if she hung out with them, she must be one too. Classic isolation tactic.
Absolutely textbook. It's not just jealousy, it's a strategy. Dismantle the support network, make the victim dependent, vulnerable, easier to control. They chip away at the victim's world, often so subtly the victim doesn't even realize how isolated they've become.
The verbal abuse was constant, calling her fat garbage, a whore. Diana also said he got physical sometimes, not hitting, but shoving her against walls. Things like that. Family felt helpless, couldn't convince her to leave him, tried blocking contact, but they went to the same school. Impossible to keep them apart unless she moved schools, which she refused. Even her college plans got tangled up with his actions. College brought new kinds of torment. Elliot was a year ahead. He started hanging out with these two girls at his university who seemed to enjoy making Diana insecure. Texting her, posting things online, just messing with her head about Elliot's loyalty. One really bad incident. Narrator finds Diana sobbing. A girl answered Elliot's phone late at night, in his room, clearly. Elliot's excuse, oh, she was just helping with homework. Flimsy. But Diana, devastated, believed him. It was like he used these girls to torture her. The family actually intervened about those girls. Presented evidence of harassment to their soccer coach. Threatened scholarships. That stopped that specific harassment. Around then, Diana broke up with Elliot. Finally. But manipulators don't give up easily, right? He begged her back, dropped out of college, moved back home to prove he was serious. Relationship became on again, off again. Diana goes to college herself, starts enjoying some freedom, socializing. Elliot, now in the Marines, hated it. Verbal abuse ramped up, even long distance. Diana visits him in California. He proposes. She says no, not yet. Wait till his enlistment is over. Refusal. Triggered an insane escalation in his harassment. The Marine ball incident was the breaking point. He takes another woman, posts graphic stuff all over social media, just to hurt her. Crushed Diana, broke up again. This is supposed to be the final straw. After that, Diana went through a really bad patch. Self-destructive. Skipping class, partying, blew through money. Then something awful happened at a party. She was drugged. Sexual assault was implied, utterly traumatic, and the ultimate betrayal. She confided in Elliot, hoping for comfort, maybe. His response, victim blaming, called her a whore, said she probably asked for it. That just destroyed her. That became the actual final straw. She cut off all contact, completely. Diana did recover eventually. Built a good life, successful. But the stalking, the retaliation, it didn't stop. It just mutated. In a truly twisted move, Elliot marries a 19-year-old girl within a month of meeting her. Girl looked almost identical to Diana. Gets her pregnant immediately. Less than a year later, they have a daughter. And he names the baby after Diana, just to mess with her. Diana tried stopping him, blocking him, messaging his wife, trying to warn her maybe. It stopped for a bit, but it came back. To this day, she gets anonymous texts, vile, sexually explicit, blaming messages, unknown numbers. She sometimes messages the wife again, but they think Elliot controls her accounts, deletes the messages. The family lives in fear. Elliot's dangerous, military trained. Trained to kill, they say. He'll be back in their hometown when his enlistment ends. Diana won't go to the authorities. Doesn't want to harm his wife, his kids. But the narrator, she's vowed to protect her family, terrified of what he might do when he returns.
It's just, woo, these stories, they're all unique, but the threads are chillingly similar, aren't they? That profound violation of safety, the psychological weight of constant fear, obsession, the struggle to feel secure again. We see how stalkers exploit vulnerabilities, how digital threats escalate to physical danger. But we also see incredible resilience, people fighting back, trying to reclaim their lives against immense pressure.
Yeah. These accounts are just such a stark reminder. Real horror isn't always ghosts or monsters. Sometimes it's human obsession, the terrifying lengths people go to control, to frighten. It's a sobering look at fixation and the immense courage needed to face it.
Yeah.
What stands out most to you listening to these? We really want to thank you for joining us for this.
Well, this intense deep dive today, we hope reflecting on these real stories gives a clearer picture of stalking, of obsession, maybe offer some insight, helps you recognize patterns, support others, advocate for safety. Thanks again for being with us on the deep dive. We'll talk soon.